The Battle of Iwo Jima, fought between February 19th and March 26, 1945, was one of the most intense and pivotal conflicts of World War II in the Pacific theater. Situated just 750 miles south of Japan, the small island was seen by American military planners as a critical point for launching bombing raids on the Japanese homeland. Iwo Jima's capture would also provide an emergency landing strip for damaged US bombers, increasing the strategic advantage in the final stages of the war. However, its occupation was not going to be an easy task. The island, with its harsh volcanic terrain and extensive network of tunnels and bunkers, was heavily fortified by the Japanese. Led by General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, the Japanese defenders on Iwo Jima had adopted a defensive strategy focused on holding the island at all costs, expecting the American forces to land and assault the island directly. The battle would become one of attrition, a test of endurance and ferocity marked by intense combat that would cost thousands of lives. The US assault on Iwo Jima began with a massive aerial and naval bombardment. More than 1,000 US warplanes and over 450 naval ships launched a bombardment meant to soften the island's defenses before the Marines landed. The bombardment lasted for several days, and though it was ferocious, it did little to dislodge the Japanese defenders hidden within the island's vast network of caves and tunnels. On February 19, 1945, the assault officially began. The US Marines, numbering over 70,000, landed on the island's black sand beaches, anticipating an aggressive fight. However, to their shock, the Japanese did not offer the expected large-scale defensive resistance on the beaches themselves. Instead, they had cleverly concealed their forces deeper within the island's fortifications, ready to unleash hell once the Marines advanced past the shoreline. The Marines quickly learned that the battle would not be won by simply storming the beaches. Every inch of ground was contested with ferocity, and the fight would evolve into a brutal slog through the island's rugged, volcanic landscape. One of the most iconic moments of the battle came during the assault on Mount Suribachi, the highest point on the island. After days of intense fighting, US Marines finally reached the summit of the mountain on February 23rd. The famous photograph of 6 Marines raising the American flag atop Suribachi, taken by Joe Rosenthal, would come to symbolize the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers fighting on Iwo Jima. However, the image, though widely recognized and celebrated, did not mark the end of the fighting. The Japanese defenders, entrenched in the island's tunnels and caves, continued to fight back with vigor, using surprise attacks and hidden machine gun nests to ambush the advancing Marines. The fighting was close, personal, and relentless. The Marines faced an enemy that fought to the death, with many Japanese soldiers choosing to commit suicide rather than surrender. These tactics would contribute to the exceptionally high casualty rates for both sides. As the battle progressed, the US forces had to adapt to the realities of the island's terrain. The caves and tunnels made traditional warfare techniques ineffective, and the Marines employed flamethrowers, explosives, and grenades to clear out the Japanese positions. It was slow, agonizing work, and it came at a great cost. As the battle continued, the US suffered heavy casualties. By the time the island was finally declared secure on March 26, 1945, the US had lost nearly 7,000 Marines, with over 20,000 more wounded. On the Japanese side, almost the entire defending force of 21,000 soldiers had been wiped out, with only a few hundred survivors taken prisoner. The cost of capturing Iwo Jima was staggering, but it provided the US with a strategically important base that would support the final stages of the Pacific War, including the invasion of Okinawa and the eventual bombing of Japan's mainland. The Battle of Iwo Jima remains one of the most significant and harrowing chapters of the Pacific War. Its legacy is not only in the brutal fight for the island, but also in the way it illustrated the extraordinary sacrifices made by the Marines who fought there. The iconic flag raising on Mount Suribachi stands as a powerful symbol of their determination and resilience. The battle also highlighted the tenacity of the Japanese defenders, who were willing to fight to the last man, underscoring the brutal nature of the conflict in the Pacific. Despite the tremendous loss of life, the capture of Iwo Jima was a key moment in the eventual defeat of Japan. representing both the brutality of war and the courage required to win it.